But, as we talk about standing on business, we do have a story of a father who was standing on business. Supposedly, I'm going to say allegedly, although I'm not quite sure how alleged it is because he walked into that courtroom proud of his behavior and his actions. And so basically, we have a father. His name, by the way, is Rodney Hinton Jr. And he is being charged with aggravated murder for killing a sheriff deputy with a car after another sheriff deputy killed his son. And so basically, just to set the story up a little bit, basically, they claimed that his son was in some type of car. They was in a car chase. They jumped out of the vehicle. Apparently, they said that the son had a gun. You can hear on the video that they said gun, and then they shot the son and killed him. And so the video is unclear as far as if there is a gun or not present. But what is clear is that his son is unfortunately deceased on the ground. And so Rodney apparently had a huge breakdown in the office while they're showing him the video. And the very next day, he so happened to be driving through an intersection that was being controlled with a sheriff deputy, and he ran over the sheriff deputy. And later, he was arrested. He shows up in court, and he's, like I said, standing on business in regards to his son. And the cops are there. They're looking to intimidate him, in my personal opinion, because it was 30 deep. But it also could be showing that, hey, we're here to show support because we lost a life on our side as well. And I'm interested in knowing, do you guys feel like this was justified behavior or not?
I recognize his anger. And I've been watching what's been happening with Black America as a person who grew up in Mississippi first, right? I'm no stranger to racism and, I'm saying oppressive structures or whatever. That being said, I understand the frustration that we are feeling as a people, but it's a setup. And what he did was, I understand that he was mad, and I hope he claims insanity, because it's an insane approach. It doesn't really work out. There's no long game here. Whatever guns that people think they have, if they're going to go to war with the police, which is a dumb idea. I don't advocate that at all. Nobody should be going at war with the police. The solution, let me go and give you the solution before I get on my bag. Solution is for us to police our own neighborhoods. Get more Black police officers from the neighborhood to police their neighborhood, and we won't have this problem. Right. Now, let me put that to the side. I understand he lost his child. If something happened with one of my kids or my grandkids, man, and they're not even my grandkids by blood, I'd be livid, right? But let's play this out. It's not a solution for us because meanwhile, President Trump is making it so that police officers are going to get free legal representation for excessive violence. Excessive force and those kind of lawsuits or whatever. There is a war that someone is trying to brew here, and we will not come out on top if we try to fight against that structure in that way. All right, whatever guns we got, they got bigger guns. And right now, the laws are being put in place that if it even looks like we're going to war as a people, it's going to be problematic for us all over. And people are just going to go, they're going to treat us like Palestinians in Gaza. Y'all better stop playing.
Can I jump in right there? Because I think, okay. And because of that, I understand. Right? I understand why he moved the way he moved, because there really isn't a right response to having your son killed unjustly. There's not a good answer or a good way to respond or to take it when you find out how he was treated, and you have to watch it on camera, and the world is going to see it. And Trump is in office and changing laws and making it so you have no rights, and you can't fight a police force and their legal team because you are poor. And you are. And all these, after all these years that we've experienced all the injustices in America, I understand why some people would take an eye for an eye. Do I believe what you're saying is true? Yeah, it matters not in the long scheme, just like we can talk about if voting matters or not, right? Because what we would all say that one vote may or may not matter. One person being a martyr may or may not matter, in the grand scheme of things. But do I understand the pain that he's feeling after watching Trayvon and Tamir and Breonna and all of these other children be killed senselessly without any recourse? And maybe he felt like the sacrifice was enough. Like, my life is nothing without my son. And because of that, I'll take yours too. I can't validate that because I don't believe in the eye for an eye. But if it was my child, who knows what I would think and feel. So I think that we're just tired. And out of desperation to have an answer, we'll create one. And that's when you get people doing something that's vigilante like this.
So I know a lot of times on this here, program, I might come across as a contrarian, maybe, right? But a lot of times I try to understand where the person is coming from, because like my opinion oftentimes doesn't really matter. Just because I have an opinion about it, I'm telling you how I look at things, right? Like, oh, this could happen. I'm having fun. We're talking our talk, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like for me, I get more out of understanding what people are going through than trying to condemn them necessarily or trying to judge whether or not their actions is some type of broad statement of a solution, right? I don't find value necessarily just in stopping there for me, because it really ain't got nothing to do with me necessarily, right? But can I understand, like, to what Tia was talking about, the pain and the angst and the issues that Black people are dealing with? Is there a legitimate tipping point, for example, right? Is it possible that we as Black people can have a tipping point? This is not the first time that we've seen recently within the past couple of years where people, vigilantism to a certain extent, took shots literally at the police. This, especially around some of the Black Lives Matter brouhahas that happened in Dallas, for example. Then there was also the situation, if I believe correctly, Chris Joyner out of California, who did something with police officers. So I guess maybe we're seeing this a little bit more, and maybe, I'm not saying this is going to start a whole wave, but I do think there's legitimate concerns on whether or not after you do a certain thing to a group of people, whether or not they're just going to have enough. Now, whether or not we don't think as Black people, we should let them know how much of enough we've had, and whether or not we think that's going to cause anything to change, right? That remains to be seen. But civil unrest has been one of the main tools that we've used in order to spark change. And so I get. And guess what? Some of those people who were in line to spark change did make sacrifices. Some of them, their lives, right? And some of them, just unfortunately made their careers or other paths and means. So I'm not saying that this guy is any of those things, right? What I completely understand is that guy was a father who got called into a police station and was showed a video and told a story, right? And that father, for whatever reason, I feel like, is it credible for me to believe that it was clear that his son was in the wrong? Would he have still reacted the way that he did just because, oh my God, all cops are bad? I don't know that. I don't know that, right? Because I would think a sane person might have seen something that triggered, there goes that word again, in terms of response, and that person doesn't have the control necessary in regards to how to process that response in real time. I'm not saying that's because I'm not a psychologist, but I am speaking to those the mental health piece, because if the law creates a carve out for people to disconnect mentally because of health or whatever, right, to give them a loophole, I'm not saying it's a loophole, I'm just kind of using layman's language here, then why wouldn't this guy potentially be someone who did have a break? Like, we have this thing, but we just laugh it off like it's not a thing that should be and could be deployed in the defense of someone who can credibly say that they had a meltdown. This brother was driving down the street, if I understood correctly, and they just turned up the gas and just went ham, right? And that can happen in a matter of seconds, right? In terms of a person kind of breaking. So what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to justify anything, right? If we want to be clear, I think what he did was absolutely wrong, because number one, if it's going to be eye for the eye, take the right eye. Let's be 100%. I mean, not the right, left. I mean, the person who did what they did, if you're going to be on some vigilante shit. I mean, I seen John Wick, right? That's number one. So I don't agree with none of that shit, right? That was fucked up. Number two, even if he was targeting the right person or whatever, okay, that's still fucked up, right? I mean, hopefully you at least try to let justice take its recourse first before you figure, hey, man. But here's why I go back to the mental health piece, because we're assuming that he was thinking of his right mind. Who wants to spend the rest of their lives in prison? Who? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give some grace in regards to maybe there was some other issues there, because his lawyer tried to make the case that the brother just had a separation from his wits about him. And so therefore, I think we should let it play out. But it's sad, though, because even if that was the case here, how would we feel about that? Right? Because if we're on the other side and we're the person's victimized by the thing, we wouldn't give a fuck whether or not he was dealing with a breakdown or whatever, right? That family don't give a fuck that his son died at the hands of police officers, right? Because that wasn't him. You know what I'm saying? So now you got multiple people being hurt in a situation, and I don't even really know what the solution is. So that's why when we talk about solutions, well, if we got some, why we ain't deploying them? You know what I'm saying? Like, we got all these solutions until we don't.